Representative Lauren Boebert is not a good person. I think she's a bad person. I think she would rather own the libs than have more people voting and still allow, more people to die by gun violence than have more people who are against her voting. And in fact, she recently compared voting rights to gun ownership with this tweet that is completely non-factual, and I'm going to break it down. But here's what she said. Liberals keep saying it's easier to buy a gun than it is to vote, but I don't seem to remember when the government sent me an AR-15 in the mail. Checkmate, libs. Since they don't mail guns, but they do absentee ballots. Oh, all right. Well, for one, there's degrees of difference here. Why would the government send you guns? That'd be kind of weird. And if the government sent you guns, would as a conservative, would you be against that? You'd be like, oh, no, can't believe the government's sending me freaking guns again. Jesus Christ. Waste taxpayer money. I want to go buy my own guns. It'd be weird. Really, really strange. But okay, anyway. So guns are commerce related. Yes, you have a Second Amendment right to go and buy guns. I don't dispute that. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Just got to know that, they are dangerous in the wrong hands. Sometimes, especially even in the right hands, they're pretty dangerous. And that you're more likely, if you own a gun, to, kill yourself or a family member. And that's the cost. That's the price of gun ownership in this country. People will die as a result. But all right, as long as you accept that and you're still fine with having guns in this country, then, well, okay, that's really it. Gun communism. Oh, my God. All right. So anyway, like I said, there are differences here, though, between the government sending you a ballot, an absentee ballot, and the government supposedly sending you a gun. Her tweet makes no sense. All right. For one, it's interesting because guns can be mailed. I bring that up because she does talk about and makes a comparison between, absentee ballots, which are primarily mailed or dropped off, and guns. All right. Well, you can mail guns. Now, you have to make sure that they're not loaded. Unloaded rifles and shotguns can be mailed. However, the mail will need to verify by opening or by certification that the rifle or shotgun is unloaded and eligible for mailing. Okay. Subject to state, territory, or district regulations, rifles and shotguns may be mailed without restrictions when sent in the same state. So, okay, you can mail guns, and yeah, there's a little bit of red tape here. I mean, depending on where you live, it can be very easy to mail a gun to someone. Handguns, however, cannot be mailed. All right, fair enough. So now there are regulations to mailing guns. Now, does that mean that she is right? No. Because there are, again, major differences between getting an absentee ballot, mail-in voting, and guns. Okay. Now, in order to get an absentee ballot by voter mail, you've got to fill out some forms, right? You got to prove, right? In fact, in order to get an absentee ballot, a registered voter must request one through their state government, which accepts or rejects the application. When someone is approved to vote absentee, election officials then mail the voter an absentee ballot, which they can complete and sign, and return by mail or under other circumstances, fax. Officials can reject those ballots if they are improperly filled out, and voters face steep penalties if they falsify information. In 16 states, an absentee ballot is the only form of voting through the mail that is allowed by law. And of course, there are stipulations here. And the voter is required to give a reason why they can't go to a voting location on election day. Exact rules vary by state, but qualifying reasons may include the following: being out of the country where they're registered to vote, being a student living outside the county, having an illness or disability, working or being on jury duty during voting hours, serving as an election worker or poll watcher, having religious beliefs or practices that prevent them from going to a voting center, being in prison, yet still having your ability to vote. So for absentee ballots, there are many stipulations. Okay. Now, it's important to note that in 29 states, a registered voter does not have to give a reason why they can't be at their polling place. So generally, I look at that as a pretty good thing. That allows people to do the no excuse absentee balloting. But still, you have to request these forms, and you got to fill them out. Now, the states themselves may simply call this ballot an absentee ballot, but there are 5 states, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and Hawaii, that conduct their elections through a mail-in process that is often referred to as all-mail voting. Registered voters in these states automatically receive a ballot, which is sent to their address before election day and mailed back by the voter or deposited at a voting location or secure drop box by a certain time on election day. So these states, again, 5 states, allow you as a registered voter, you automatically get a ballot and you can fill it out. As long as you're registered, of course. Well, now that's what Lower and Boebert is talking about. And that's, unfortunately, this is what a lot of online right-wing ire, and not just online, but right-wing ire generally, aimed at these 5 states that allow you, as a registered voter, to just get a ballot mailed to you before the election. They hate that idea. They hate it. They despise it. But at the same time, and of course they want to get rid of it, Georgia itself, which does not have these rules, Georgia is basically trying to remove deposit boxes for absentee ballots, which again, they already require you to have an excuse to vote absentee. And even when you come up with that excuse, they still make it harder for you to drop off your ballot at these secure drop boxes. And so they're really doing a lot to add even more and more stipulations to voting, while at the same time making it even easier to buy a gun. So, and again, you also have to be registered to vote. I keep saying that, but that does require filling out forms, being approved, and the type of voting, again, that Boebert is talking about, only done in a few states, hers included, by the way. And that's probably why she even came up with this ridiculous tweet. Fun fact, also. Now, what we heard during the election a lot is that, oh my God, if you do mail-in voting, if you do absentee or mail-in voting, then the Democrats are going to get a massive advantage. Not necessarily. Turns out that studies done by organizations like Stanford University have found that voting by mail does not favor voter share or turnout of either major political party. Expanding access to voting by mail is generally considered great for all voters and their ability to exercise their right to vote. Oh, interesting. And until recently, until this last election, by the way, voting by mail and absentee voting was practiced by members of both parties without any sort of issue. That is until, of course, Donald Trump started coming up with lies about voting by mail, because what he wanted to do was he wanted to blame something on his loss. If he lost, he wanted a backup plan to say, oh, see, it was the mail-in ballots, all the voter fraud, because of the mail-in ballots. That's it. That's why I lost. Didn't have anything to do with me. No, I actually won. It was their fault. I didn't actually lose, because I never lose. I'm Donald Trump. I could never lose. Losing is not in my DNA because I have great genes, tremendous genes, the best genes. All right, so look, his gullible followers, they fell for it. And now they hate mail-in ballots and they hate absentee voting for basically no reason. None. Just none. And there are states, again, where you now have to wait in line for hours in order to vote, show ID, fill out forms in order to vote. But in those same states, you can walk into a gun store and get the gun that day. Same day guns, not same day voting. And it does vary, of course. It is tougher to get, a gun in California or New York, but tougher to vote in places like Georgia and Alabama. So Boebert is wrong. It's not easier to vote than it is to get a gun, generally. It's actually more complicated and nuanced, as I've discussed, but Obviously, nobody cares about those things, especially when the libs are begging to be owned, right? Which is what she wanted to do, ultimately. Suffice to say, she did not get owned. She actually got a lot of backlash from this. For example, her opponent, Carrie Donovan, here's what they posted. This post is gross. Show some respect for grieving families. Colorado is, of course, where the most recent mass shooting happened. Her state. And she said nothing about it. Another person says, this Onion tweet's hilarious. Thank goodness Lauren Boebert isn't a real person. Nobody could be that stupid, right? Wait, what? Hard to believe that we have insane people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert in Congress, in positions of power. People have voted for these people. These QAnon conspiracy theorists. And this lady who apparently like loves, has an unhealthy obsession with her guns. I can understand enjoying guns. Like I like to go out and target shoot. That's fun. I find that awesome. You know, it's great. But I don't have this like weird obsession with guns, you know? And there, you know, those people, most Americans who have guns are generally pretty good people. They're fine. They're careful. They're cautious. They want common sense gun regulation. They're totally fine with that. And they have a gun maybe for hunting and they have a gun maybe for home protection, but they don't really give it a second thought. And then there are those people who are obsessed with their guns. Those are the people that are like, over my dead body. Like, it's almost like it tries to be an extension of themselves. And like an identity. That's what it is. It's an identity. It's so strange to me that there are people like this that feel this way about guns. And they're getting in the way of, again, the vast majority of people, vast majority of Americans who are like, yeah, we look, I like guns, I have guns. And I believe that, we should have some gun regulation. That's common sense. Wow. But it's not a surprise because, again, that's what most of the American people are. But there are people like Lauren Boebert who, again, they're tools of the NRA, and they have this weird identity wrapped up in their gun fetish. And it's just really, really, it'd be really, really strange, but it's also incredibly dangerous with these people in positions of power and holding such influence, because what they're doing is they're literally holding up any sort of common sense gun regulation that comes up. It's real strange. All right, now a couple more here. One tweet says, "Get back to me when you have the statistics on death caused by mail-in ballots." You're not going to find any. Just like the aforementioned voter fraud. Can't really find any. Doesn't exist. And finally, every time I think she can't be that dumb, you come out and say something like this. You can't vote in the same day you register in Georgia, but you can get a gun. Now that I think about it, the Georgia and Colorado shooters both purchased their gun within days of the murders. And here's the thing. Guns are pretty good at killing people. That's what they do. Killing people. Look, there are guns that kill animals. Your normal rifles. Shotguns in some cases. For birds. And then you got guns that are good at killing people. AR-15s are good at killing people. Their rounds are a little too large for hunting. And so people who, and again, any real gun and hunting aficionado is going to come out and tell you that, why would you ever want to go hunting with an AR-15? Are you stupid? No, you use something else to go hunting with. An AR-15 is designed to hunt people. That's what that is. And so that's what this gun is. That's what it's about, because it's always used to hunt people. And if you look at what guns have sold the most, it turns out the AR-15 was not America's most favorite gun until a few years ago, until just very recently, when it started getting hyped up by the NRA, when it started getting hyped up on conservative media sites. And it was really fascinating. But again, These guns, they're good at killing people, but the votes are good at killing groups like the NRA and killing bad political parties and bad ideologies. And so I would say that the one that seems to get targeted the most between guns and voting, the vote is much better at defending democracies than the other. How many years have we heard that, no, you need your gun to defend against tyranny? No. Actually, what's best at defending against tyranny, at least in this country, is your vote, which is why they keep trying to take it from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.